The Minnesota Timberwolves have had a rough history, to say the very least.
Le who? The her.
I know this because I have been a fan for most of their existence. As of the end of the 2019-2020 season, the Wolves have an all-time win percentage of .396, which is dead last in NBA history. Yes, even worse than the Clippers. They also are dead last in playoff win percentage at .346 and are second to last in total playoff games at 52, only ahead of the New Orleans Pelicans. Yeah, it's been a rough ride for Wolves fans. Despite the history of ineptitude, though, the Wolves have had their moments and have had their fair share of franchise players and stars. So without further ado, here's my Minnesota Timberwolves Mount Rushmore. First, you gotta mention the obvious pick, and that is Kevin Garnett. When you think of the Minnesota Timberwolves, KG is what most likely comes to mind. He was the franchise's first big star when he was drafted 5th overall out of high school in the 1995 draft. Expectations were high for the big ticket, and boy did he deliver. During his Wolves tenure, he made it to 9 All-Star games while being named to the first team NBA 3 times, including the 2003-2004 season in which he was the MVP of the NBA. In that season, he averaged 24.2 points per game, grabbing 13.9 rebounds, which were both career highs. He was a force on defense as well, making the all-defensive team 5 times as a Timberwolf. He is the all-time franchise leader in games, minutes, field goal, rebounds, steals, points, win shares, and the list goes on and on. Most importantly, he was the main reason the Wolves made the playoffs every year from 1997 to 2004. In that 2003-2004 season, he helped the Wolves make it all the way to their first ever Western Conference Finals appearance, where they fell short to the Lakers in 6 games. The big ticket was one of the biggest stars in Minneapolis history, along with names like George Mikan, Randy Moss, Chris Carter, and Fran Tarkington. Even though he didn't leave on the best of terms, and he ultimately fulfilled his goal of an NBA championship elsewhere in Boston, he did come back for 1 season with the Wolves and is now even trying to buy the Minnesota Timberwolves. He is a Minnesota sports legend and an absolute dead ringer for the Mount Rushmore of Minnesota Timberwolves. Now that we got the obvious first choice out of the way, let's move on to number 2 on my Wolves Mount Rushmore, and it's Karl Anthony Towns. There was some debate over who the Wolves should take with the number 1 pick of the 2015 NBA draft between Towns and fellow big man Jahlil Okafor from Duke. Thankfully, the Wolves chose wisely and landed Towns, who went on to become the Rookie of the Year. So far, in his 5 seasons in Minnesota, Cat has been selected to 2 All-Star teams and made the All-NBA 3rd team in 2018. He is just getting into his prime and helped the Wolves make their first playoff appearance since 2004 in 2018. For his career, he is averaging a double-double with 22.7 points and 11.8 rebounds per game, including a career-high 26.5 points per game last season, a season that was cut short for Towns by injury and the COVID pandemic. Many consider him the most talented offensive big man in the league, and he shot an impressive 41.2% from three-point range last season, which was good for 15th in the league. He is the undisputed future of this franchise, and fans are excited to see how the pairing between him and recently acquired D'Angelo Russell will work out. One thing we do know is that Towns gives Wolves fans something that they haven't had in a long time, and that is hope. The third face on the Minnesota Timberwolves Mount Rushmore is another big man, Kevin Love. The stretch forward out of UCLA never led the Wolves to a playoff appearance, but the talent around him was never up to par. Love played 6 seasons with the organization and made the All-Star team 3 times. He posted a 19.2 points per game in his Wolves career and 12.2 rebounds. He twice averaged more than 25 points per game in the 2011-2012 season and the 2013-2014 season. He led the league in rebounding in the 2010 season, pulling down 15.2 boards per game. He was a beacon of talent among a bunch of lesser talent in his tenure in Minnesota. In the 2010-2011 season, he set the NBA record for longest double-double streak since the merger. A Kevin Love-led team would never win more than 40 games in a season in Minnesota, but as mentioned earlier, that was hardly his fault. He would go on to form a big three in Cleveland with Kyrie Irving and LeBron James en route to an NBA championship, but his time in Minnesota will never be forgotten soon by Wolves fans. Now it's time for the fourth spot on my Mount Rushmore, and I'm going to go in a little different direction on this one. I never said that the spots had to be taken up by players, so for the last head on the Wolves Mount Rushmore, I go with Flip Saunders. Flip Saunders coached the Wolves from 1995 to the middle of the 2004-2005 season, and then for one more season in 2014. He is the most winningest coach in franchise history and took the team to 7 playoff appearances and the Western Conference Finals in the 03-04 season. The former Golden Gopher was selected as the 2004 head coach for the Western Conference All-Stars. He is the only Wolves coach in the history of the franchise with a winning record. Saunders came back to the team in 2013 to be president of basketball operations and was the coach for the 2014 season, but unfortunately he contracted Hodgkin's lymphoma and passed away in 2015. His son Ryan is now the head coach of the Wolves, and fans are excited for big things from him. Flip Saunders will long be remembered for his success with the squad and, more importantly, as a leader of men. Rest in peace, Flip. So that's my picks for the Mount Rushmore of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Let me know your list in the comments below, and let me know if you want to see more of these kinds of videos. I'd love to make them. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and most importantly, go Wolves.